Welcome back, students. Today we're going to take a look at Topic 9, Block 1, in the unit on probability. And probability is a really exciting thing. Probability is the mathematical concept that Las Vegas was based on. And so we're going to get into some probability work. But first we need to kind of understand some stuff about probability. So let's get into that. So first of all, let's define what probability is. Okay, probability itself, and I'm going to write it up here where it says probability. It is the numerical description, okay, the numerical description of how likely an event is to occur. And I'm just going to real quick write that down. Again, it is the numerical description of how likely an event is to occur. And probability, it's going to range anywhere between 0 to 1, or if we're talking about percentages, it would be from 0% to 100%. 0% meaning it's impossible, and 1 or 100% meaning it is certain. It is absolutely going to happen. So let's take a look at some more vocabulary around probability. Now, in probability, you will be conducting experiments. But what is an experiment? Well, an experiment is any activity that has two or more possible results or outcomes. And there you see it. But what does that mean? Any activity that has two or more possible results or outcomes? Well, it's when you do things to test probability. For example, you might flip a coin. That's an experiment. You might do some trials where you roll a die or a number cube. You could spin a spinner. Or perhaps you're given the experiment of choosing an object from a group of objects. From like maybe a bag, or like marbles in a bag, or socks in a drawer, or something like that. Choose an object from a group. Okay? These are all things where probability is involved. And that would be, an experiment. The next question is, and I'm going to change colors, the next question or the next definition is, what is an outcome? Well, an outcome is one of the possible results in a probability experiment. What might happen? Okay, so I'll write that down. So in other words, it means, what might happen, what could happen in a probability experiment. For example, if you're flipping a coin, one of the possible outcomes would be for it to turn up as heads in a coin toss. That's an outcome. Or maybe if you're rolling a number cube or a die, maybe you'll roll a 5. Okay? Or perhaps maybe you'd choose a red marble out of a bag of different colored marbles. Those are all outcomes, possible outcomes. Okay? So now events are a lot like outcomes, but an event is only slightly different. So let's talk about what an event is. It is a subset of the possible outcomes for an experiment. So when you roll a die or a number cube, you're going to get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or a 6, right? Well, an event is the thing that you are looking for. It's the thing you want to happen. So first of all, let's write the definition before we get too much farther. So For example, of the possible outcomes of rolling a die or a number cube, maybe you'd say, you know, the event we're looking for is rolling an even number when you roll the die. So instead of just looking for a 1 or a 5 or a 4, you say, you know, the event I'm looking for is an even number. So roll an even number on a number cube. Okay? Better finish that out on a number cube. Now, if you think about the number of even numbers on a die or a number cube, you know that there are 3 of them, right? There's a 2, a 4, and a 6. So this event would include 3 of these 6 possible outcomes. 3 out of 6 possible outcomes. That's the event we're looking for, because there are 3 even numbers on a number cube because of the 2, the 4, and the 6. Okay? All right, well, let's move on down the page here. So our next vocabulary word is a trial. And what is a trial? So we have experiments where it's like, oh, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be flipping a coin several times. Well, a trial is each time during that experiment that you either flip the coin or roll the die or spin the spinner or reach into the marble bag. Let me write that down real quick for you, and then you can copy it. And so again, an experiment can be performed many times to determine probability. But every time that you do that, every time you flip a coin, every time you spin the spinner, every time you roll the die or number cube, that's called a trial. Okay, so make sure you pause this and copy it down. So that would be like I said, each roll of the die or the number cube, that is each flip of the coin, those are trials. Okay, each spin of the spinner. Each one of those is called a trial. So you might conduct 50 trials in a coin flipping experiment. That means you would flip the coin 50 times in that experiment. Okay, well, we've gone through all of these definitions so far to get to this last one, because it's going to be the first type of probability that we're going to get into, and that is called experimental probability. An experimental probability is this. It's the ratio of numbers of time an event occurs compared to the number of trials in the experiment. And I'm going to write this down, and you can copy it. So one more time, it is the ratio of the number of times an event occurs compared to the number of trials in the experiment. For example, if you're flipping a coin, okay, and you are looking for, you want the event to be tails, okay? So your event is tails in your coin flipping experiment. So you want the your desired outcome is tails. So the event that we're looking for is tails, and the number of trials you're going to do is, like, say 20. You're going to flip that coin 20 times. Okay? So let's say, for example, when you flip that coin 20 times, flip, 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 and so on 20 times, and you happen to get tails 7 times out of the 20 trials. That is an experimental probability. That is saying, out of the 20 times I flipped it, I got tails 7 times. That's experimental probability. So if we're going to set this up as a ratio, that would be the number of occurrences of the event. In this case, it was 7. 7 tails, 7 times getting tails, over the number of trials that you conducted in the experiment. Okay, that is experimental probability. And that's different than theoretical probability. Because theoretical probability would say that, well, if you flip a coin 20 times, you should get tails half of those times because you have a 50% chance or probability of 1/2 of getting tails. So you should get it 10 times out of 20. That's theoretical probability. This is experimental probability, and it's based on what you've already done. Okay, well, that's a great start into our probability unit. Make sure you have all these notes copied down and show them to your teacher so that he can, or she, whatever, can initial it and mark it off on your paper and put it in the gradebook. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Don't forget to be awesome.